Hi Natalia. So you've done the written tasks, which is great, and it really shows that you've been working really hard on these, so really well done. Keep working on them. I know they can be difficult sometimes, but it will have a really big impact on your English by doing practice like this, so keep at it. Good. Okay, so let's have a look at the two tasks that you sent in. So the first one is the enjoyable activity with a child essay. Okay, so what extent do you agree with the question there? Okay, so let's have a look through. Reading is a very important habit in children's development. Nevertheless, there are many other activities that are more pleasant for them and at the same time can play a fundamental role in their growth. I believe these alternative educations are more fun and have amazing benefits for them. Okay, good start to your essay here. If we have a look from the start here, so reading is a very important habit in children's development. Great. Nevertheless, there are many other activities that are more pleasant for them and at the same time can play a fundamental role. This word here, role, we have two forms of role in English. Role like this, R-O-L-L, and role, R-O-L-E. The one that you need here is R-O-L-E. Okay, so fundamental role in their growth. I believe these alternative educations are more fun and have amazing benefits for them. Okay, good. At the end here, make sure that you have a full stop on that one, for them, full stop. Okay, firstly, although reading is one of the most traditional forms to learn and develop skills for children, it is undoubtedly the relationship between them and the new form of entertaining education, which can develop new abilities and knowledge in them. Okay, good. So, let's have a look here. This one is not always completely clear. So you started off with, although reading is one of the most traditional forms to learn and develop. Okay. And then you're saying that the more entertaining forms are developing new abilities and knowledge in children. Okay, so it might be worth just making this a little bit clearer. Okay, so although reading is one of the most traditional forms to learn and develop skills for children, it is undoubtedly the relationship between children and new forms of more entertaining education which develop new abilities and knowledge. Okay, just to make it that little bit clearer, otherwise it starts to seem unclear where your sentence is going. The next one, for example, one of the studies carried out by, so just here, instead of carried out by Cambridge University in 100 teenagers showed that children who played constantly video games had major creativity and quick reflexes. So children who played video games constantly, okay, had major creativity and quick reflexes. Therefore, the access to new technologies can stimulate the kids' abilities. Okay. Yes, good. Here, take out the. So, new technologies can stimulate kids. We're talking about more than one here. So we want kids, K-I-D-S apostrophe, because it's plural. Kids' abilities. Okay, more than one kid. Secondly, there are other kinds of outdoor activities like sports, which are amusing and at the same time can cultivate different talents in youngers. Okay, I see where you're going. In youngsters. So Y-O-U-N-G-S-T-E-R-S, youngsters, another word for children. And no capital Y, so a small y at the beginning of this one. This is because when people practice a certain kind of sports, obtains varieties of benefits as a healthy body, competition development, cognitive abilities, and more. Okay, good sentence. It's just in the middle, we've got a bit of a problem there. So this is because when people practice certain kinds of sports, they obtain a variety of benefits, such as a healthy body, competition development, cognitive abilities, and more. Okay, so just make that bit in the middle clearer. Okay, a good illustration of this. Instead of illustration, because illustration would be specifically a picture when it is a noun. So a good example of this. Okay, or we could say, if you did want to use illustration, we could say, this is illustrated by. Okay, by sports people who, for sure, during his life acquire brilliant characteristics in their developing, for example, athletics that practice apnea, have resistant lungs, a part of the ability to spend a lot of time underwater. Okay, so a good, this is illustrated by sports people who, during their lifetime, acquire brilliant characteristics. For example, athletes instead of athletics, athletes, who practice holding their breath. Okay, holding their breath, have resistant lungs, a part of the ability to spend a lot of time underwater. So they have resistant lungs as well as the ability to spend a lot of time underwater. Okay, therefore it is undoubted how many benefits sports have in children's development. Okay. Instead we could say, to make it a little bit clearer, therefore it is clear how many benefits sports have for children's development. Okay, therefore it's clear how many benefits sports have for children's development. And then we're on to your conclusion. Good. To conclude, for the example and arguments given, I firmly believe that reading is a very good form of education. However, there are many other activities that can stimulate children's learning, like the use of games consoles or outdoor activities such as sports. Okay, let's have a look just at the start of that bit to conclude for the example and arguments given. Here we could say, to conclude the example and arguments given. Okay, so to conclude the example and arguments given. And then, good, the rest of that sentence is good. However, there are many other activities that can stimulate children's learning, like the use of games consoles or outdoor activities such as sports, or we could say outdoor activities like sports. Okay, really well done. You've got a good structure here. So you've started with your introduction, gone into your first paragraph, your second paragraph, and then your conclusion at the end. As well, you've used some really good vocabulary, so this shows a lot of promise. Really well done. Fantastic. Let's have a look at your second writing task then. So this one, some people think that schools have to be more entertaining, while others think that their sole purpose is to educate. And it's asking you, which one do you agree with? Okay. Again, it looks like you've got a very good structure here. So you've followed the same idea. Start with an introduction, use of your first point, second point, and then your conclusion. It's good. Also, it's not too long and it's not too short, so it's just right, which is really good. Let's have a look then at it in some more detail. So, first paragraph, introduction. Even though many people still agree with the traditional education, others think that it is time to renovate it with more recreational and interactive activities, which I strongly agree. This essay will discuss both sides, using personal and academic examples to support arguments. Okay, well done. So a strong start there, and you're using lots of brilliant vocabulary. Let's see if there are any areas that we might need to change. So even though many people still agree with traditional education, so know the in the middle, still agree with traditional education, others think that it is time to renovate it. Renovate is perhaps a word that's not quite right here. Instead, I think update would perhaps be better here, to update it with more recreational and interactive activities, which I strongly agree with. Okay, this essay will discuss both sides using personal and academic examples. Yeah, that bit's really good. Okay, next paragraph then. Although traditional education has shown its success through human history, here I would be tempted to say, although traditional education has shown success through history. In modern days, the debate has opened about the dynamic of learning. Good. So maybe here in modern society, the debate has opened, has started, would be more appropriate here, has started about the dynamic of learning. Okay, or we could change that sentence slightly and say, in modern society, there is a debate about the dynamic of learning. The next bit, this is because, comma, instead of semicolon. So we don't want a semicolon there, instead we want a comma. This is because conventional development of knowledge could be very exclusive in terms of artist development, which means children with musical or painting abilities find it very difficult to exploit their strengths. Okay. Okay, so this sentence is not entirely clear. So this is because conventional development of knowledge could be very exclusive. I see what you mean. Okay, so conventional development could exclude artistic development. Okay, which means children with musical or artistic abilities would find it very difficult to exploit their strengths. Okay, a good illustration of this, so again here, so a good example of this is that some children during their conventional school can suffer big levels of frustration when they have an artistic vocation. Good. Okay, so a good illustration, or a good example of this is that some children suffer high levels of frustration when they have an artistic task, we could say there. Therefore, their academic performance is not strong compared with the other children. Okay, good, well done. Moving on then, so however, this problem can be approached with recreational and interactive activities that allow teachers to identify student abilities. Know there. Identify student abilities, which in my view, instead of my own, in my view, or in my opinion, is the best form to educate children nowadays. For example, during my childhood, good, so you're using an example here, it's brilliant. During my childhood, my passion was to play the violin, but my school did not have any subject referent to music. For that reason, my motivation was very low and my academic performance was unsatisfactory. Okay, this part in the middle, subject referent to music. So, for example, during my childhood, my passion was to play the violin, but my school did not have any musical subjects. Okay, for that reason, my motivation was very low and my academic performance was unsatisfactory. Instead of very unsatisfactory, so was unsatisfactory. Good. That changed when my parents realised my passion for music, for music, and they changed me to a new school. They sent me to a new school with a different focus, which allowed, ed at the end, past tense, allowed me to tap into my skills. In consequence, I considered very important to renovate traditional education. Good. Okay, this last sentence, be careful with the tense that you are using. Before this sentence, we are in the past tense because we're talking about when you were at school. But here, in consequence, I consider, present tense, it very important to renovate traditional education. Okay, so maybe to update or to overturn, to change completely traditional education. In conclusion, although the benefits of conventional learning are undoubtable, okay, however, we've used this quite a few times, we could say although the benefits of conventional learning are clear, nowadays it is important to adjust it, focusing on involving all the abilities that children can have in a creative form. Okay. Good. So a few changes there. It may sound like a lot of changes, but really they are just changes in sentence structure. And occasionally some of the specific words. So there's some repetition of words like undoubtedly, and renovate as well. So really it's just about making your sentences slightly more specific, and this is done through practice. Okay. So really well done, fantastic effort, you're clearly working really hard, and it shows through your writing, so really well done.